Welcome back to the deep dive. Our mission today, well, it's pretty focused.
Laser focused, I'd say.
Yeah? We're diving into a set of texts, some ancient, some more modern, all really asking, what wholehearted commitment actually takes.
And it's not a gentle ask, is it?
No, definitely not. This isn't some abstract idea to just think about. It's about these radical, uncompromising demands, frankly, kind of terrifying demands on anyone choosing this path of absolute discipleship.
Mm-hmm. Sources call it the full cost.
And we're here to unpack that, every challenging bit.
And full cost really means full cost. You know, if you feel like commitment today is maybe too negotiable, these texts, they're a sharp wake-up call.
Right.
What hits you first is just how uncompromising the language is. They don't start with, oh, here's peace and comfort.
No, they start with demands, a radical reckoning of priorities.
Exactly. The goal seems to be total transformation, and the price, well, it looks like everything you hold dear.
We've got the Gospels, Psalms, Romans, all circling this idea of surrender. And I guess we have to start with the most explosive part. Luke chapter 14.
That seems like the place. It's the ultimate litmus test for this kind of commitment.
The absolute boundary marker, you could say.
Definitely.
Okay, let's just face the language head on. The tie says, flat out, if anyone comes to Jesus without hating his father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters,
And even his own life.
he cannot be my disciple. Wow. I mean, including immediate family and your own life in that hate list,
Yep.
It's shocking. Why use language that aggressive, that provocative?
Well, it's almost certainly a linguistic tool, right?
Yeah.
A kind of Semitic hyperbole. It's designed to hammer home absolute priority.
So not literal malice, not emotional loathing.
No, I don't think so. It's
Yeah.
more like,
Yeah.
imagine a hierarchy of allegiance. This commitment, this discipleship has to be so far at the top
Okay.
that all other commitments, even the most vital ones like family, have to seem like antagonism by comparison if they get in the way.
If your bond with family or even yourself stops you from this higher calling, then your primary loyalty is, well, misplaced.
That's the idea.
But doesn't that create an immediate problem? I mean, if the whole moral structure leans on loving your neighbor and your family is usually your closest neighbor, how do you square hate your family with love your neighbor? It feels like a contradiction.
That is the absolute crux of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the resolution, I think, lies in understanding the kind of love or connection being addressed.
Okay.
The hatred command seems to target the bond of dependence. You have to sever your reliance on earthly relationships or even personal comfort, your own life, if they might compromise that radical allegiance.
Right. Sever the dependence, not the relationship itself.
Exactly. Once that ultimate allegiance is crystal clear, then the active expression of love, the kind we'll see in Romans, can flow properly without being tangled up in personal self-interest or family self-interest.
So it's a sacrifice of maybe security for a higher, maybe purer form of service.
That's a good way to put it. A radical form of service.
Okay, that reframes it. You're not giving up love. You're giving up the control or the security tied to those relationships. And right after this hating part, it hits you with the next big one. Whoever does not carry his own cross and come after me cannot be my disciple.
Yes, the famous line, the ultimate metaphor for embracing hardship, suffering, even death itself.
Total prioritization again.
Absolutely. The text leaves no room for dabbling. The moment you decide to follow, you're essentially picking up the instrument of your own potential demise. You're acknowledging the path involves suffering and surrender.
But what's interesting is that the source seems to recognize how huge this is. It immediately gives a kind of warning, doesn't it?
Yes, it provides this cautionary framework. It says, hold on, this isn't something you jump into lately. This commitment can't be impulsive.
And this is where we get those calculation analogies, which are actually really helpful, I think. Count the cost before you start. Let's look at the first one, the tower builder.
Right, the tower analogy. It's about, well, integrity and practical foresight. Before you even lay the foundation for this big tower,
You have to sit down first.
you sit down, you tally everything up, the cost, the materials, the time. Because if you start, lay the foundation, and then run out of resources.
Everyone watching will laugh.
Exactly. They'll say, look at this guy, started building, couldn't finish.
And the implication for someone considering this path is profound. Your commitment has to be sustainable. Initial passion isn't enough if you haven't factored in the real cost, the willingness to surrender everything.
You risk not just failure, but public ridicule.
Yeah.
It's a warning against shallow, maybe performative commitment.
Definitely.
And the second example raises the stakes even more. It moves from personal integrity to, well, Strategic thinking, humility even.
The king going to war.
Yes. Before marching out, he has to sit down and calculate. Can my 10,000 troops actually take on that other king coming with 20,000?
And if he figures out he's outmatched?
The text says he should send envoys to ask for peace terms while the enemy is still far off.
It's not about chickening out of the commitment, is it? It's about strategic awareness, calculating the potential for failure before disaster strikes.
I think so. Relating it back to discipleship, the message is pretty stark. Really assess the price of this surrender. Are you truly willing and able to pay the total cost?
If not, maybe it's better not to start, or at least know your limits.
It challenges that impulsive, I'm all in, feeling, demanding something deeper. Calculated resolve.
And this whole section in Luke wraps up by making it incredibly concrete. It brings the abstract demands right down to, well, stuff. The final line is totally explicit. Every one of you who does not renounce all his possessions cannot be my disciple.
No ambiguity there.
None. It links that initial internal surrender hating your life directly to the external surrender of wealth possessions.
Total commitment means letting go of all attachments, internal ones, external ones. Possessions represent, stability, security, your plans for the future.
So renouncing them means giving up that need for self-provided security.
And trusting in the calling itself instead. It's an incredibly high bar for entry.
Okay, so we've got the radical price of admission, internal self-renunciation, giving up dependence on family, giving up all possessions. That's the get-in-the-door requirement. But then, what's the actual job? If you empty yourself like that, what are you supposed to do?
Right. What fills that void?
That seems to be the crucial transition that the letter to the Romans gives us.
Exactly. It takes us from that radical, personal letting go straight into communal, ethical responsibility. If Luke tells you what you must let go of,
Romans tells you what you must hold on to.
Precisely. Paul writes, owe nothing to anyone except to love one another. That's it. That's the single non-negotiable bet you carry.
I really like how the sources boil down ethical living here. It's not an endless list of rules. It's like an ultimate cheat code for morality.
Cheat code. I like that.
The text says, the one who loves another has fulfilled the law. It simplifies this massive moral task.
It does. And the power of it is that it turns morality from a list of don'ts into a proactive principle. The source even lists some big commandments. Don't commit adultery, don't kill, don't steal, don't covet.
Right, the heavy hitters.
And then says, all these and any others are summed up in this one command. You shall love your neighbor as yourself.
So instead of constantly checking if you're breaking a rule, the focus shifts to just one active thing: love. If you're actively working for your neighbor's good.
You simply can't be doing them evil. Love, by definition, does no harm to the neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfillment of the law.
And the connection back to Luke is you had to empty yourself first. Get rid of the self-interest, the clinging to possessions.
Yes. That internal emptying demanded by Luke is what creates the capacity for the external, self-giving love demanded by Romans. You had to let go of your own need for security before you could truly offer your neighbor that pure, unencumbered love.
That makes a lot of sense. The renunciation wasn't pointless hardship. It was about achieving alignment. Which brings up the next question. What does this aligned, committed person actually look like in practice? How do the sources describe their character?
Okay, so now we pivot to the positive picture, which we find beautifully in the Psalms. We look at the character of the person called blessed, particularly in Psalm 112. And this isn't just someone sitting around being pious.
No, this is someone active in the word.
Deeply effective. An ethical agent.
The psalm describes this person as someone who fears the Lord, delights in the commands, and then immediately connects it to action. He's gracious and lends to those in need. That's practical compassion.
And more than just compassion, it highlights effectiveness. He conducts his affairs with justice.
So it's not just personal feelings. It's about managing resources, relationships, fairly and wisely. The internal surrender shows up as external, just action.
Exactly. And here's maybe the core paradox of this whole deep dive, linking right back to Luke 14. The person who started the journey, needing to renounce all his possessions, ends up being described as the one who lavishly gives to the poor. His generosity shall endure forever.
Wow. That is a paradox.
It's profound, isn't it? The very act of surrender, letting go of that internal grip on resources, is what frees the person up to use those resources radically and generously for others.
Renouncing ownership becomes the path to limitless giving.
It proves the goal of that first command, Wasn't about making you poor, but about making you spiritually free.
And this incredible generosity must come from a place of deep security, right? But a security no longer tied to money or stuff.
Absolutely. That foundation of trust is captured perfectly in another Psalm, 37.5. Commit your way to the Lord, trust in him, and he will act.
The commitment fuels the trust,
The trust enables the fearless action.
which results in generosity and justice. The whole system works because that high cost was paid up front.
Makes sense.
And despite all the hardship, the radical demands, the sources do promise a significant internal reward. The reflection we looked at says that choosing this wholeheartedly leads to discovering the freedom and peace that come from living with purpose and love.
Freedom and peace, which are the exact opposite of the fear and anxiety that come from clinging to control or worrying about resources.
So that internal payoff kind of validates the steep cost. You trade the shaky security of possessions and normal ties for the solid peace of purpose and alignment.
And finally, the sources are realistic. They acknowledge that living this way, this radically, will inevitably cause friction with the world around you.
Right, there's that encouragement from 1 Peter. If you are insulted for the name of Christ, blessed are you, for the Spirit of God rests upon you.
Which is the ultimate reframing, isn't it? If you face rejection or ridicule because you've made these choices, the text says that's not failure.
It's validation.
It's confirmation you're on the right, difficult path and experiencing something profound, the presence of the Spirit. Worldly rejection becomes a spiritual cross.
So, wrapping up this, intense deep dive, the texts present discipleship not as some easy invitation, but as a really high-stakes, calculated decision.
A calculation, yes.
It demands surrendering pretty much every earthly attachment, family dependence, self, possessions, all to achieve one main goal, fulfilling that law of love through radical generosity and justice.
The tension is stark.
Yeah.
Shed comfort and security, but the promise is deep internal reward, purpose, peace, freedom, and an external life that actually makes a lasting positive difference.
The initial sacrifice is the absolute prerequisite for the lasting benefit.
Couldn't say it better.
It's a supremely challenging call. It forces us to look hard at what we truly believe, what we truly value. These sources just don't let you keep your highest commitments at a comfortable distance.
No, they don't. And what really stands out is how serious that counting the cost idea is. Integrity in your commitment seems to matter almost more than the initial declaration of commitment itself.
Which leads us right into our final thought for you, the listener. Thinking about all this call to surrender, this radical trust. What comfort, maybe what attachment or what dependency in your life is this material asking you to examine today?
What might need surrendering, even just examining so you can follow your own highest commitments more freely, more completely.
Something to calculate, perhaps, before you take the next step? Thanks for diving deep with us.